everyone, this is Mari and Jerome from the Bonsai Supply, and today in Bonsai Talk we have a very special guest.
Yes, we are interviewing a powerhouse and a very inspiring woman in bonsai. She has been doing bonsai for nearly 50 years. She's a teacher and also a potter. She is none other than
Pauline Muth.
Hi.
Hi, Pauline. How are you today?
Good morning.
I am reasonably well. I hate wigs, but I'm reasonably well otherwise.
Oh, is that wig? I wouldn't notice. I mean,
Yeah, me
it looks
neither.
great.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes. God, yes. This is definitely a wig.
Awesome. So I see you're already drinking your coffee too. It's coffee
Tea,
time?
but sure.
So-
yes.
Tea drinkers.
This is usually how we start off our interviews, by asking how you like to drink your coffee.
Well, I don't drink coffee.
What are you drinking?
I tend to drink, and this morning I'm drinking peach tea, and that's good for me.
Do you say peach tea?
Peach tea. Peach tea. Yeah. You never had peach tea,
No.
and you're from the South.
I know. We just moved to the south, so
Oh, okay, that's true. That's true.
peach tea. Okay,
That sounds
Uh-huh.
good.
that sounds
Yeah.
delicious.
It works.
All right.
It gets the job done, right?
It gets the job done. Get you woken up in the morning or
Yes.
halfway to the afternoon now. But yes.
All right. So, well, thank you first of all for meeting with us today. We really appreciate it. We're very excited to know more about you. We know some, of course, so we have read because you've been in the art for a while. So we really admire your work. And I just wanted you to tell us a little bit of how did you get started in bonsai? How did you start in bonsai?
Many, many, many years ago now, close to 50 years ago, when I was a life science teacher, I used to take my classes to this thing that the Schenectady Museum did. It was a plant show. And back in those days, the plant societies were very, very active people, extremely active people. I was a part of a group called the Greenhouse Group, so I used to have my kids come and display things that they grew in my classroom. Well, we spent the whole week clearing the floors at the museum, putting up incredible displays from the Gesneriid Society, the African Violet Society, the Greenhouse Society, the Indoor Garden Society, and then this fledgling group, Mohawk Hudson Bonsai Society. We spent the whole week set it up, absolutely gorgeous. And then Saturday came for the opening. The skies opened up, thunder, lightning, you name it. And we sat there at our information table staring at the world going, what are we gonna do now? And at the next table to our information table from the Greenhouse Group was this man named Earl Pudney. Earl Pudney was a local radio guy. He was a writer of operas. He was a sculptor, and he was a bonsai artist. And he said, we're deadly bored over here. Come over and at least create one tree, because that's what they were doing, creating little procumbents with everybody. So I went over and I got hooked. And he says, well, I give lessons here on Wednesdays at the museum. I said, wow. And he says, they're $10 each to the museum. And I'm going, oh. Well, mind you, almost 50 years ago, $10 was a really big deal for a young teacher. And I came home, told my husband, and he said, yeah, you deserve it. You've been doing grad school forever. You've been doing all this stuff. You deserve a night out. I think he regrets it. But I went over, and then I'd been studying with him for about 6 months. And he said, well, you've got to come to Mohawk Hudson Bonsai Society. I said, I really can't give up time. And he goes, oh, no more lessons. So I said, okay. We've got a guest speaker in. The guest speaker was John Naka. So my first professional
Oh, I think we lost you. Pauline, can you hear us? think we lost you.
with him. And
Pauline,
yeah,
We just lost you for
After-
like 10 seconds, something like that. So we
you
were
said
in
John
Naka.
Naka, yes.
yeah. Oh, you lost me?
Yeah,
Mhm.
right at John Naka.
In the back.
Ah,
Yes.
the guest speaker was John Naka.
Okay.
And they sat me right in the front center, and I really got hooked. Many, many years later, the woman who won that demonstration tree left it to me. And so it's now part of my collection. So I've been trying to take care of it. At that point, though, I had inherited it, and our family had put it in the ground to keep it alive. So it went from a tree that was about like this to a tree that was way out here. And I just said, I'm not going to mess with this. So my good buddy Nick Lenz, I said, let's figure out how we can bring this back in without destroying it. And I showed him the sketch that John had made. And it took us quite a few years, but we brought it back down to what John had wanted. But that's how I got started with it. And they conned me into it. They're the ones that said we had to have a studio nearby. Them, and I don't know if you guys remember Bill Brighton. Bill Brighton used to write the showing column for Val Venus.
Oh.
Bill just died this year, but he was our inspiration for all things Shohin, and he got us going on it. So I had some pretty good sound basis in the art thanks to the local club.
Yeah, I mean, you had John Naka and Nick Lenz. They're both really influential people in the bonsai community. And they're both fantastic artists. So that's
they were both really, really good, and the
very different from each other.
Huh?
They're very different from each other.
Very different from each other. And we also had a study group that met with Yuji Yoshimura. Because that's only like an hour and a half from here where Yuji used to live. And we used to go down there in my camper van, and Yuji would go, oh, don't leave. We have to go on the Bonsai Mobile. And he'd take us to all these places down in Southern New York and take us to many, many things. So it was nice. I felt my greatest influences definitely were Bill Brighton, Yuji Yoshimura, John Naka, and Nick Lenz.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I like eclectic things, so it worked out really well.
So I heard you say at the beginning that you said you've been doing bonsai for almost 50 years.
Yeah.
So that's amazing, first of all. I mean, that's incredible. So I guess I would like to know how bonsai was 50 years ago in the United States and how it has evolved into bonsai today, and I guess what you see, how it has evolved into.
I think bonsai at the beginning was much different than today. I think one thing that's really done wonders for bonsai in America now are two big things. One, we have a national show. Mm-hmm. Thanks to Bill for that. Yep. And every national show, in fact, in my intermediate classes here, we go through all of the exhibition books from the beginning to the end. And I say, what do you guys think? Because most of them haven't seen it. And they look at it and they go, oh, wait a minute. Oh, bonsai's really changed. I said, yeah, because of the other influence. All of the young bucks that went over to Japan and came back and are sharing those things with us now. Mm-hmm. And they are wonderful for it. And the level keeps going up and up and up and up. And what I see now is much more refined trees than we saw back then. Much, much more. You take a look at Yuji's book. I'm sure you've gone through it. But if you look at Yuji Yoshimura's book and look at the examples in that, you sit there and you laugh and laugh. And go, oh my gosh, that's what we were learning from. Yeah, that's what we were learning from. Luckily, we had John Naka's books. Because John Naka's books, his sketches were what today's bonsai has to be. Mm-hmm. That made a big difference.
Well, I feel like that bonsai in the United States was a lot more strict and very heavily Japanese influenced.
Oh, yes, especially out west.
Right.
Especially out west. where they looked at the bottom of the pot to make sure it was the right kind of pot first.
Exactly.
Luckily, we've gotten over that and have turned to our American potters, which I really support.
Yeah. No, I also feel like it has become a lot more lenient, and people are feeling.
Oh yes, very much so. Very much so.
People are feeling more inclined to try their own style and try different types of stands, different pots, like you just mentioned. So it has really evolved into its very own bonsai style.
Oh, definitely. That's why for the ABS that's going to be in Olive Branch, Mississippi next Memorial Day, the exhibition will be a Warback one, all creative, all creative.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
That's
All
nice.
creative, and of course influenced by Robert Stephen.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to it. It's a surprise because we ask people only to submit what the tree will look like that will be in it, tree or trees, and everything else will be a surprise to us. So we'll see. But Robert Stephen, if you look on the absbonsai.org site, Robert Stephen explains what a creative exhibition is, and it's pretty cool.
He's definitely he's taken exhibiting trees to a whole different level and in a whole different direction.
Absolutely. And he's been very good about sharing everything with us. He's always funny because he goes, well, you know, Indonesian trees, you just clean them up. They're gorgeous. And he's right. They have the most twisted trees because of the ocean.
Yeah.
I really love the materials he's got to work with. But here in Zone 4, I'm not about to grow very much of them.
I love that. I love that you have seen it evolve for the better. And it kind of like, I guess, American bonsai is finding its own voice as well. And it's art, and the creativity is all that matters. So I love that you're seeing that. I wanted to ask you, so I know this is a hard question, but can you pick a favorite species? Do you have a favorite species you work with?
Larch.
Wow, that was fast.
All right, it wasn't that hard.
That's Nick's influence. If you live where temperatures go to -20 in winter, and you want to really promote native species, larch, second would be eastern white cedar, third would be apple, because they survive our winters without any problems whatsoever. So I'll stick with those. I grow everything crazy. I mean, one of my other favorite species is S. crambrone, but that's not a Zone 4 plant, but I have a greenhouse.
Okay.
I'm willing to do it.
So from this, I'm guessing you have this species in your own collection. Do you?
Those species? Oh yeah.
Okay. And do you have a bonsai that has a special story or that's been special to you for a specific reason?
I have a number of them. A lot have to do with my buddy Dick Lance, because he really got me into, let's work with the natives. Let's work with the natives. Even when we designed the John Naka Award for ABS, his family said, it's got to be a native tree, because he said, we're in North America, let's use North American species. So I have a number of trees that are definitely ones that I absolutely adore. I kind of stick with Shohin because I am 76 years old, and Shohin is nice to carry around. My high school kids here who carry stuff around for me keep me into my forest, and I love my forests. My forests are huge, but the boys allow me to keep them going because they can lift them for me and do things for me. And I like the boys who will be helping me this year put my things away on Thanksgiving. They've been with me now since they were freshmen in high school, and they're well out of college now, and they're really, really into it. But my forest and stuff, I've got great stories with. I guess the one I have the greatest story with, let me think about, would be many, many, many years ago. I was up at Nick Lenz's place, and I decided I absolutely had to have a Nick Lenz tree in my collection. And I saw this 2-tree thing. Well, the Nick Lenz tree was a riot. I was looking at it's large. It's in a Nick Lenz pot, a 36-inch Nick Lenz pot. It's a 2-tree thing that he collected, and I'm going along, and I said, "Well, Nick, I'd like to buy this," and he goes, "This would be a good one to buy." I says, "Okay, this would be a good one to buy. Can I have a price on this?" He goes, "Well," and it goes back and forth. Like every time he visited here, he'd put one of his little creatures in my trees. And I'd say, "Okay, are you trying to tell me it's expensive?" He goes, "Yes, it is. But how about if we break it down into monthly payments?" I said, "Yeah, break it down into monthly payments and we'll do it." So for a year, I paid out that tree. I've had it for several decades now. And every so often I have to send him a picture, make sure he likes what I've done with it. But that's probably my favorite tree because Nick did create it. And it's creepy and spooky and all things Nick Lenz. But otherwise, I like the little Shohin stuff, and I tend to show my age by buying trunk and then creating from it, because that works really well for it.
Now, do you know off the top of your head how many trees you have in your collection?
My husband and I made an agreement long ago, very, very long ago. I don't count. He's a hunter, and he provides us with all our food. I don't count guns. He doesn't count trees. I don't count trees because that's terrible.
That's funny.
I have a pretty good size collection, yes.
So, Pauline, this is really funny that you have an agreement like this with your husband, because we also have an agreement. She said that she stopped counting her birthdays after she turned 25. And I stopped counting the trees that I bring into my collection after 25.
Oh, I like that too.
I think it works out.
That works for me.
I always have 25 trees.
Yeah. It works out. I tried for a couple of years. If I was going to add one in, I would have to sell one or take it out. It never worked. Because the ones I wanted to keep are the ones I wanted to keep. I went with it.
Oh, that's funny. Now, let me ask you another very difficult question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the most challenging thing in bonsai, or has been the most challenging thing in your bonsai journey?
Oh, challenging. I've always considered it fun. I'm trying to think of what is challenging. No, I can't. I've always considered it fun. It was just something I like to do. I have nothing better to do than spend a day up here in this studio my husband built for me, and play with my trees.
Now, was there something that was really difficult to learn, like, for instance, like overwintering trees, or the timing of repotting, or
a technique?
Or technique, exactly.
I guess the hardest technique for me was learning how to properly drill into the wood so I could bend something more easily. That was probably the hardest technique to really nail down to not harm a tree. My undergraduate work's in botany, and bonsai, it took me a while to really figure out that, you absolutely have to teach these other people about horticulture, because they're doing some strange things. So all my lessons here, I teach horticulture first before we do the things. Part of that was that Earl, my first instructor, said all he wanted to do was create trees. He didn't like keeping them alive. And I said, well, this has got to stop. So we worked with that.
Okay.
All right. So during your journey, is there something that you know now that you wish you knew before when you started? a little tip, a little advice for the new generation that you can give them now that you've gone, through your years of experience? Yeah, there's something that you wish you knew when you started.
I wish I knew when I started. Oh, that's a real good question. I like it. I'm trying to think. Been doing this for so long. I had such good instruction at the beginning. I didn't get surprised by a whole lot of stuff.
Well, I guess
I really.
Let me rephrase it. Maybe
Okay.
just an advice for the new generation, whoever is interested in bonsai right now, what they should be doing.
Okay. A couple of pieces, because that's a question that comes up in my classes here all the time. And you got to remember, I'm living in zone 4. So it's pretty cold here. So I always tell people, let's start with the natives and work your way out. And if you really get addicted and you're going to live where I live, then also make sure that you get a greenhouse, because then you can grow a heck of a lot more stuff. I'm in really good luck because we had many experiences with winter storage here until we built this studio, which is now well over a decade old. And when we built the studio, my husband built my studio's on the second floor of a building. His hobby's on the first floor, and my hobby's on the second floor. And when he built it, my storage area is a ramp that comes up to this building, and it's got 6-inch thick concrete walls and 6 feet of gravel underneath it, because we're major frost country here. And it stays at 29 degrees from Thanksgiving till April. So I don't have any winter storage problems up here. Wow. In fact, my winter hardy trees, I just put them underneath the fir trees in our yard. Just my large eastern white cedar. Eastern white cedar I put under the benches in our grow yard because my husband, the hunter, says deer will not duck their little heads underneath benches. And apparently they never do. So
that's a good advice that I want to take from this conversation.
Yeah. All right, so it was so lovely talking to you. This is pretty
Same
much
here.
Yeah.
It was very informative. It was very interesting to hear.
And inspiring.
Yes.
Like, I mean, this is amazing to know.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are doing stuff like this. It's nice to see young people involved. That's my big goal, is get young people involved.
Oh, no, that's so nice. And I mean, we love interviewing inspiring people like you. This is just, and especially like in my case, I'm just so moved when I see women in bonsai in general.
Well, yeah, but it's always been an issue for bonsai. You've got people even like Kathy Shaner, who is a 6-year graduate of the schools in Japan. And Mitsuya brings her back all the time to work on his stuff, and she brings Mitsuya over here, and she's still considered a woman in bonsai. Yeah, I can tell you lots of women in bonsai stories, but we've got to pay more respect. We've got some really good women in bonsai now, and they need to be listened to.
Yes, that is.
It would be nice. Yeah.
So we're not going to take more time of your day, but once again, thank you so much for meeting us, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the Winter Silhouette.
Yeah.
We will see you definitely at Winter Silhouette. Take care.
You too. Thank you, Pauline. Bye.
Bye-bye.